Justin Herbert. He has a fractured middle finger on his non-throwing hand. So, Tom, tell us a little bit about what we can expect from Herbert.
Well, I don't think we should expect that much of a hit. I mean, you said it, it's his non-throwing hand. If this was his throwing hand, this would be a big problem, but it's not. So we saw during the game, he went back in, he finished the game, he played well. They had him in a splint. I anticipate either a splint or heavy taping will still be on that finger. As you said, they have a bye this upcoming week. Could not come at a better time for him. But we think about routine bone healing, about 4 to 6 weeks. But like I said, with a finger being his non-throwing hand, they'll probably either have it splinted or taped to another finger next to it. It's not going to affect his throwing. It could affect his ability to take snaps, so I'd expect him to go predominantly out of the shotgun, and possibly could affect his ball handling in the pocket. So, defenders are going to be swiping at that ball and at that finger specifically. But as long as he's making his decisions well, like he has, and he's pretty mobile in the pocket, this is not going to affect his fantasy output whatsoever.
All right, sounds good. Pretty optimistic there. And like you said, Tom, a perfectly timed bye week for this team. Other teams on bye, aside from the Chargers this week, are the Browns, Seahawks, and Bucks. Let the bye week start, baby. Let's start digging at those waivers for some crazy people to pick up. But like you said, Tom, I mean, it really couldn't come at a better time. They need him to heal up. Of course, they need Eckler back. Offense without Eckler at least has been pretty subpar. And, we're hoping that the team can get back to their high octane style. We'll see what comes after the bye week for guys like Joshua Palmer, Quentin Johnston. We'll see who can emerge as a wide receiver too there. But the Chargers did survive. They're 2-2. Week off should do them pretty well. We'll see them back in week 6. How about Matthew Stafford? A hip contusion. Expected to play this week, Sunday against your Eagles, Tom. I mean, this guy's been through it. He's been on almost all of our shows, I feel like. He's going to play, but give us your expert opinion, Tom.
He's tough as nails, and everything sounds like he'll be good to go. So a hip contusion, the word contusion basically means bruise. So basically he landed really hard on his hip, and it got bruised. There's probably quite a bit of swelling in there, which hurts and can stiffen things up. But as athletes get warmed up with this type of injury, like just basic walking, biking, jogging, generally that flushes some of the swelling out back into the circulatory system, which makes it easier to move and less painful. The other thing that's huge here is that it's his left hip. So as a right-handed quarterback, he pushes off that right leg for power. That could potentially be an issue if it was his right hip, but it's not. It's his left. I don't anticipate this being a bother for him at all. I do think it's kind of interesting. This is not the most common injury, but we have 3 players last week who had this injury. So it's just kind of weird that it all just happened at once.
Like you said, it happens in waves. And I even remember last week or 2 weeks ago was like the concussion week. Then we had a hamstring week. It's crazy how things work. But Stafford has looked pretty good so far, especially without Cooper Kupp. I mean, he propelled the Rams last week to an exhilarating overtime win against the Colts, 29-23. Went 27 for 40 in the process, Tom, 319 yards. And, oh, by the way, he gets Cooper Kupp back this week. So I don't know if you're starting Stafford in fantasy. Maybe a guy to look at, though. Of course, Puka Nacua has done his thing. We'll talk about him a little bit later. But, Tom, like you said, Stafford's tough as nails. The guy's dealt with dozens of injuries. He gets out there, he plays, he gets the job done. Got another quarterback, Tom. It's Jimmy G. Concussion, and he missed week 4. This seems like a long time to be out for a concussion. I heard that he might even miss week 5. What's the deal with Jimmy G?
Well, this is actually not abnormal. If you remember when we had our friend and concussion specialist, Andrew Tierketter, on the show last year, he told us that the average absence from a concussion is 16 days. So it's actually not that abnormal. And I know there's been reports recently about how this year it's taking longer than usual for players to return from concussion.